third.
And obviously that's the key thing, because we do have the standoff series as we jump into the game. So there's still something to fight for. Shox immediately ends the life of Draken, but gets returned as well. Force Get comes in with 2 frags total of their own as well, and that docks his body in on the bomb site here. He's got a really tough time defending anything at all. Kenny not even showing himself. Still not giving anything away here. There we go. Pops up from behind Chikakup with 2 frags and Exist and Kenny in 1v1.
Oh, Exist has spotted him, wings Kenny, but he has way less HP, and it is going to go the way of Kenny in the end. And for G2, that's pretty important, because in each game that we've witnessed, they have started very bad. So to get the first round on the board, to get some momentum in behind them, to get Kenny S maybe in an open sort of round 3 or 4, for me, those are the keys to success for G2.
Yeah, and I think, especially for a player like Kenny, to get off to that good start, or a hot start, because while the teams were chatting with each other, he was, not exactly humble bragging about their round score up to this point. Then, obviously, G2 haven't had the best of tournaments up to this point, and Kenny is one of those players who kind of gets in his own head and starts battling himself. So, probably feels good to be able to, fade out a couple of teammates and get
Forrest.
What was that?
Take it easy, mate. That's illegal. NBK has just been completely bodied through the wall. Juandi delivered first class. And I mean, this would be the nightmare if G2 were to concede this round now. That's a horrible way to start things off. It's not as if they're sat on a whole bunch of nades either, and they also have no kits. So if NiP can just barrel through onto one of these sites and get the bomb planted, this is going to get really awkward really fast. But they're holding on for dear life. Shox finally gets the damage done on to Get Right, and will drop him. Res is exceptionally low. Kenny S isn't far off and landing one of those shots, and one of the last bullets in the magazine will connect and take Res out the equation. That being said, though, Forrest answers back with another Deagle frag. 45 seconds left, bomb in hand, 3-on-2 against NiP.
Still chance here to do some more economical damage. Kenny down to 30 HP, obviously. Only going to be able to take one of those Deagle bullets. The rotation's coming over towards the A here from NiP, though. Only have to deal with Apex, but Apex has a pretty solid positioning here to deal with this. Just going to find Draken immediately. Only leaves Forrest alone. Half HP, Deagle in hand. He's already gotten 2 frags, but remains to be seen if he's going to be able to find more.
Pardon me, I think I said it was a 3v2, but it is going to quickly turn into a 3v0, I should say, as Forrest has just been completely destroyed. So it started well. They got the 1 deke. Yep. You're thinking, okay, there's a couple of potentials here on the table. Quickly wiped away, though, from G2. Very important, again, for them to hold on. That's the shot we're talking about. NBK could do nothing about that. Just absolutely blitzed.
Man in question. Expecting to see a much, well, hoping to see a much better game from Kenny than what we've done up till this point. He also had a rough outing versus Astralis in their last round. So not quite the usual Kenny that we're used to seeing. NBK going to work aggressively in mid. Nice tapping around here with the Moss. Still will meet his Maker and Draken, but not really left in a position where he can actually do a whole lot, and Shoxy cleans him up with an MP9.
Yeah, it's a solid round again for G2. Just wanted to make sure they lost as few weapons as possible. Only the 1, that's going to be okay. And they can even keep with the MP9 if they so choose. Up close, it's really not that bad.
Shoxy's actually surprisingly effective at it, to the point where it's actually kind of annoying to watch, because you don't necessarily want players to be too greedy, but he can be sitting there, 8+K, and still be rocking an MP9 because he makes it work.
I mean, especially if you're taking the MP9 up close into a position such as drop or the B long, can be incredibly devastating even against full armor.
And that quick fire rate.
NBK, that smoke has pretty much just saved his life. Had the smoke not came down, you can almost guarantee that NiP would have been all over him. But instead they had to back away, allowing NBK to get a couple shots through the smoke. Exist gets 2 before he's plucked out by NBK, who's on a bit of a tear right now. 48 health left, but he's able to dart back to the site. And more importantly, get some support from the rest of his team. There's so much time left, though, Ven. They can't fully gamble on this being an A hit. The potential of rotation is very much alive and well right now.
Definitely is, and this is one of the tough parts of playing that CT side on Cobble. Gets spread so thin, and retakes aren't really easy on either of the bomb sites. Normally you have one that's a lot more favorable for that kind of stuff on pretty much every map in CSGO. Cobble not being one of them, though. Well, so far. Only Rez really moving on towards the B-bomb site, and that can obviously lead to, or be the case of him trying to sell a bit of a fake, but with the aggressive positioning here. Oh, actually, with that short smoke, if he drops down Broken Wall, this could totally sell it, even though with Shoxy's position. Oh, actually, Shoxy goes down. It's going to force the rotation as well, and now pretty much the Red Sea parted over on A.
Unfortunate for Shox as well. He just looked away at the worst possible moment as he got peaked. That's the kind of range we're talking about, though, with the MP9 can be so devastating. And, well, the Ninjas, they're leaving this incredibly low in terms of time. There's only 5 seconds left. They've just got to go straight for the bomb plant. Unfortunately, G2 have vacated the area. They want no part of B. So, such an odd round there for G2. They will be looking to save, judging from their positions. They've got a decent amount of equipment value.
Yeah, and with doing so, they will be able to buy out Kenny and Body. So far, the ones really without too much money to potentially rebuy. Obviously, Kenny being able to hold on to his AWP. MBK can drop off that AK to Body, and they'll be able to go into the next round with a pretty decent buy. That is. I mean, a little bit too close for comfort, in my opinion, from NiP side, especially Draken deciding to actually move over towards the statue plant.
I mean, if one player's on B there and they just get a kill, that could be the round lost.
Yeah.
It could have just easily came down to that, and it's really what we saw North do a lot against NiP on Train in our previous match that we casted, where they constantly went down to the last 5, 10, 15 seconds without actually having any idea or any info on the site they're about to aggress on. So, I mean, NiP got away with it that time, but next time they may not be so lucky.
That is very true. And well, fortunately, I don't think this is going to be like a tendency out of NiP. It's never really been their thing, their gimmick. And instead, it's going to be MBK with the AWP.
Did so much damage. A kill plus 85 health, and he's still very much alive and open for business. Plus, he's seen 2 or 3 players scamper into mid, so the call has came through that it's going to be a fast A hit, and in position are G2, and they are just funneling away. NiP is a team kill, actually, as MBK claims Apex, but doesn't really matter a great deal in the grand scheme of things. G2 will be able to just pick up that round easily, and NiP's economy, it's in tatters. I mean, you've got 5K on Draken, 4+K on Forest, but the issue here, really, is the rest of the team. They're around $1,400.
Existing rest. Pretty much as broke as can be. So we're seeing a timeout here from NiP. Want to talk things over. Finally, some positivity coming through with G2 here. Not getting off to a terrible start. We're actually seeing Kenny having impact with that AWP, and MBK as well. We saw it on Mirage in the first G2 game that we casted today. That they tried that double AWP setup in their second buy round. MBK didn't even get to fire a shot before he went down, and that was the first and last time we saw the AWP in his hands. And now, just has immediate impact, finding 2 frags in the end, even a teammate, because when you're feeling it, you're just shooting at everything that moves.
Definitely, and they did kind of talk on this. I think Semler even said that the reason why he thinks G2 will win this is because the pressure's completely off. And that could definitely factor in with these guys. No longer is that sort of mental block in place. Playing for a bit of pride, maybe. They can't go any further in the tournament. But, you know, finishing on 1 point is not great.
Few things beat French pride.
That is very true.
Proud people. Definitely so. And I think you're right. Obviously, it is a bit of a double-edged sword. It could also be, you know, weight off your shoulders, but it could also be, you know, you're down in, you know, you're in Debbie Downer town, pretty much. That could also be the case. And for moody players, that's not necessarily where you want to be. MBK, though, definitely liking where he finds himself right now. Apex as well, chimes in with the frag.
Solid work again by G2, not giving any advantages across to the Swedes. And with 55 seconds left and only 3 players left, and that push with the flashbang, it looked good that Shox would actually pick up a double, but Rez able to answer back. It does seem like a bit of a drop in the ocean, though, for NiP, because they still face a 4v2, and they have no stranglehold whatsoever. MBK is going to miss that first shot, not in the second time of asking, and he knows, judging from the angle, there was another player there in the smoke, so he just waits with this crosshair. All too easy for G2.
All too easy is definitely the name of the game right now. So on both instances where we've seen NiP try to have a rather quick approach towards that A bomb site, NBK and Apex have been able to find early frags, which again takes a lot of the oomph away from your pushing. If you're NiP, normally we see A executes from the T side, really being after, you had a bit of a slower approach, got control over A halls with more methodical smokes and flashes to grab the halls area. With this kind of thing, it's first off there's a massive, alarm bell for G2 to have rotations come over. But when you lose players in the meantime as well, it stagnates your push. You don't get necessarily all the nades and Molotovs you need in to block off, for instance, the rotation from Connector. Same thing with Balcony as well. So NiP needs to adapt to this. Well, a cheeky little double peek there.
KennyS just got brutalized. Exist running one tap, it looked like, from Kenny's perspective at least. Well, the strafe was too strong, and now Rez up on the plateau with the AWP to try and make something happen. And when KennyS is in those kind of positions, you expect him to strike and get at least a kill, but not quite on that occasion. I think he got baited a little bit by the player that hopped across. Draken now in a duel to the death with a AWP-wielding NBK, who's going to go in for second shots with the spray. He's going to pick up 2, and now Rez with it all stacked against him. He's missed a couple of shots. He's down to 5 health, and he wants to get the hell out of that. Probably AWP away. Interesting.
It doesn't want G2 to get their hands on that bomb so they can go back to double AWP setup without necessarily having to reinvest.
Yeah, the confusing thing for me there is he drops the AWP, then peeks with the Glock instead. I thought maybe have a quick look around with the AWP, but he's darting off. He's up into the tower.
Yeah. It seemed like he was expecting G2 to be right on his heels, so he dropped it off, expecting to die within the next 5 seconds or so. Not going to be the case though, but still, NiP kind of defeating themselves in that round. Do find the 2 first frags courtesy of Exist. That does a really good job. First finding Apex, and then, as you said, brutalizing KennyS over towards that B plateau. And at that point, that should be a pretty easy go sign really for NiP. In that kind of situation, you've removed their anchor on that B bomb site with a wonderful peak. So why do you not pounce on this? Why do you actually go back towards the one site where well, again, yeah, like, there's no rotations in time. Like, everything was working in favor of NiP there to just move in and do the easy thing on the B bomb site.
Does seem like they're in their own heads a little bit right now.
Well, definitely confusing to watch. Nonetheless, we will have a buy round. So we're going to see Draken wielding that up.
Yeah, 3 AWPs in total. Draken with 1. NBK and KennyS retaining their 2. And it's been working so far with a double AWP, so why not keep sticking at it? NBK just saw the shoulder of Forest and had to correct his position. He was getting a bit too wide. That flashbang on point is going to force back NBK. And Draken now in position in case he re-peaks. And in credit to NBK, he's not going to get greedy. He knows he's just given his team the advantage. Don't stick around. Don't give them the equalizer. Back off. Secure the bomb site. Make NiP do the work.
Be happy with what you get. Don't be forced to train. Don't go hunting.
Well, speaking of hunting, Shox has just found his victim in the form of Get Right.
Saw ahead and he wanted it. 2-man advantage. Okay. Again, just setting up new sections that the NiP players would eventually have to go through if they want to get out on this bomb site.
Shox weary in case that was a flashbang. Actually a smoke instead, so they decide to push the smoke. This could get really messy, but Exist does look around just in time. And now KennyS steps up to the plate with 2 frags. Draken's being pushed multiple angles. And G2 edge ahead to a 7-1 lead. I say edge ahead, actually. This has just been a bullying matchup so far. It hasn't been close in any way, shape, or form.
It does feel very reminiscent of what we saw in NiP's last match, right? Versus North.
Just reversed.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's NiP getting the beating, really. First time in a long while, actually, we've seen G2 getting off to a positive start here. Not really a lot they're doing wrong in many sense. And now we're good to see a good old classic from NiP here. When all else fails, go with what you know. So smokes are going to come in. This is the threat strat that we've seen so many times. Let's see, and you can already tell it's pretty big talent rotations have already come in here from G2.
A boatload of smokes over on the site, now pushing down into drop body, nearly transitioning his spray for a 3rd kill, but did heavily weaken Rez, who will be put out of his misery courtesy of Apex. Draken. There's a Deagle for one, looking for a second, gonna run out of bullets, and his ammo runs dry, as does his life, but NBK will be avenged courtesy of Get Right CZ. So Get Right up against Shox, both with 100 health, plenty of time, bomb in the hands of Get Right, who seems to think that the connector push could be imminent. And at this point, he can afford to sit here for another good 15-20 seconds, and Shox may just tighten the noose around his own neck.
I feel like Get Right is probably the player who would show the most patience in a situation like this. Probably be happy to sit there until there's about 20 seconds left before he starts moving.
Just see the cogs turning in Get Right's head. He's like, surely he's going to go for a rotation at some point. But Shox does have a pretty centralized position himself. He can go onto B if the bomb does get planted. If not, he'll have a faster rotation, which could catch Get Right in transition as he moves away with the AWP.
And it's really important for Shox to identify early on where the bomb is getting planted on, obviously, which is why he's not straying too far off that B bomb site. Now, identified that it is. Of course, that A bomb site, as you can see on the minimap, not that far proximity between the two players, though. Shoxy, no Molotovs to clear at any angles, but he does have a smoke here.
Well, this should be it. Get Right's going to get him on the cross, and NiP pick up a second round. It's been a long time coming, but they have finally got themselves back on. There's plenty of funds, though, for G2 to go right back in with another bite.
Well, it's like you mentioned the fact that this has been a bit of a mowdown up till this point. G2 surviving with 4 members most of the rounds, really, during that 4-round stretch they had. Obviously, that's going to do wonders for them in terms of saving up and making bank. On NiP on their end, they have to worry about getting reset here in this kind of scenario. Remember where you might want to be. You can see Exist using his entirety of his bank down to 0.
Timeout has also been called for G2, which is just about to come to an end. And double AWPs in play. This does, however, pretty much wipe their bank accounts out. If they were to lose this round, a couple of their players would be into eco territory.
Bodies using 10K there. That round dropping off for Shox.
Well, he's thrown out. Has stopped the initial push by Rez, who may have been thinking about that, but I'm not going to get too antsy just yet. I mean, NiP are in that dangerous position where they finally got around, but they're at risk of resetting their round loss, so they have to make sure that momentum starts to move in their way.
And considering how they haven't really found a whole lot of success in terms of them playing slow rounds and opening up the map slowly, then you have to be really, really uncertain with yourself if you're just in this kind of situation, and have to make a call and actually believe in it. Every time they go actually commit towards the A bomb site, it seems like NBK and Apex finds at least 1 frag each.
Molly's onto Plateau, and Rez is going to land one headshot not far off onto KennyS either, who needs to be very careful he doesn't peek one too many times. If he falls, the defense may fall with him. Well, flashbang, he lands that frag, Exists straight out with a quick fire double onto both Body and KennyS before NBK puts his AWP to use. He does spot another player hopping across, but the smoke is going to take away his vision. In the meantime, though, bomb has been planted. And G2, they want no part of this. We discussed they went through all their funds. They went in deep to their pockets. And so they don't want to throw away what remains of their arsenal of weaponry.
All that's left in the others is dust, pretty much. And again, different approach from what we saw in Mirage from G2 as well. Deciding to go for a retake. Did mention at the beginning of the game, Cobblestone is kind of unique in terms of how difficult both bomb sites are to actually retake here. Very different than something like Mirage, for instance, where the A side does have a lot more chances and gives more opportunities for the CTs to actually do anything in an after plant position. Still low. I think they're not necessarily out of the woods.
Oh, for sure. They can't see the sunlight for the branches right now, but they're on the right path. That wasn't far off from actually being a 2-for-1. They were very nearly lined up for it.
Draken apparently excluded from the fist bump crew.
Maybe if he gets a few more kills, they'll include him again.
Has to contribute a bit more. It hasn't had the same kind of impact we saw on Train up to this point.
Does have the AWP again, though, Ven. And while he has the AWP, anything is possible, as we found out over these last few months.
That's very true. Again, slower approach. Similar default as last round from the Ninjas. And again, seeming like they are actually able to find the first frag towards that B bomb side more often than A. Seeing Exist having quite the success rate. And even them winning their eco round over towards this B bomb side as well. Albeit maybe thanks to G2 being a little bit arrogant in terms of how they handled the lesser weaponry on NiP's side.
Well, we saw success last time that Rez was in this position. However, KennyS is up to the challenge, but only for one. This is going to put Shox now on the chopping block, but he's going to become the executioner with 2s, not going to get 3. Get Right will silence him, but he's given his team now a real chance, which is being quickly put to a side. MBK won't be landing the quick shot onto Draken, and NiP continue their winning ways. That's now 3 in a row.
3 in a row, and slowly mounting a comeback though. You have to consider the fact, or remember the fact that G2 are playing the CT side of Kabul as of right now, which is regarded as not necessarily the easiest one. Very different map from what we saw in the old days of Kabul. So 7 rounds, nothing to scoff at if you're G2 at this point. But obviously with the start that you had leading into this game, you want more. And Body's going to find an early frag with that MP9. Luckily, there's no teammates to follow it up with him.
It's gone pretty wrong for G2. I mean, they were backed against the wall, making sure Chicken Coop isn't currently occupied.
So a bit of a lemming run, really. The Frenchman in towards drop room.
It's all on Apex. And at this point, it is pretty much just do as much damage as you can before you inevitably die. Saving the Mac 10 is definitely not worth it. And Exist is going to put NiP one step closer. If they win the next, they'll be on fire. Again, that's a BLAST Pro Series way of showing you that they've won 5 rounds in a row.
We talked about Draken having more and more of an impact in this game. Obviously found the 2 deagle frags to turn things around, and now he's up to 7, so second highest on the side of NiP. Starting to carry his weight. And again, double op setup from G2. And again, B focus on the side of the Swedes.
It definitely has been the weaker of the 2 sides so far. They've been getting a lot more success and happiness over on this side of the map. Draken does catch just a glimmer of a CT player, not able to down him. Bit of damage being exchanged, courtesy of grenades. Kenny is tagged up a little bit. Or should I say body, pardon me. Almost a stalemate, a standoff right now on B long. Neither team pushing too aggressively. Meanwhile, both teams do have a player over on the A side of the map just to cancel each other out, keep each other honest.
One thing that is a bit of an issue for G2 at this point is that they're starting to run out of utility. So see Apex and Body left with smoke, or left with nades really, and only Body with the smoke, but obviously not everyone's on the same bomb side. And hey, finally NiP find an opening towards this A bomb side.
Okay, not like this. I feel so sorry for them. Suddenly appears 5 angry Swedes with a point to prove, but Apex not done talking himself just yet. Well, his mouth has just been closed, firmly shut with an AK round to the head. KennyS in the meanwhile is going to pick up 1, but now he's all that remains, and all that stands between NiP and the 6th round, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And as you can see, they are now on fire. So after having a horrendous start, they are right back in this.
Finally be able to find that answer that we never saw North really managing to do versus NiP on Train. To readjust and come back from it, and funnily enough, it seems like they've just gotten better and better ever since G2's timeout. Maybe they needed that second bit of a go to throw things through. Apex going to go for the aggressive peek with the scout. Not going to find anything at all. Forrest already making his way through drop, finding Body as well. Obviously, this is a bit of a slaughter so far. Kenny does find Forrest, so that does remove the lurker on NiP's side. Okay, actually getting a lot of damage done here. No frag, and that leaves Shox in a 1v4.
How MBK wishes that was an M4. He'd definitely had 2 kills. UMP at that sort of range, not necessarily great. Shox in the meanwhile, last player left alive. Doesn't want to peek out too far, he will be dead, and he's running out of ammunition very quickly, and Draken still takes him down. Alrighty then, Shox, get schooled. 7 apiece. And remember, if you've just joined us, keep in mind that G2 at one point was 7-1 in the lead, and it looked like this map was going to quickly spiral out of control.
really was. Now G2 deciding to talk things over once more. And it's Draken definitely.
Now they give him the fist bumps. Now finally they include him.
Yeah, it had to be in the frag count. Like you have to be at like at least 5 or something to be part of the fist bump club.
He's up to 10.
Exactly.
He's
skyrocketed. So you know all of his friends fist bumping. He's not a part of it. Of course, he want to join in.
XM for Apex. Not a gun you see quite as often, but definitely very efficient and effective up close in the likes of drop zone, or indeed there's quite a few different places. Here we go. Yeah, A long he can take it to as well. But NiP again going to be probing and poking their way over on the B long side. The nades are going to start to do quite a bit of damage to Rez, but he soldiers on.
There we go.
Straight out, NBK will take him, but he did do a lot of damage, and plus he saw 2 players, so it's important information that has been gained by NiP. The problem really, though, is at this stage of the round, information definitely isn't worth a life, because NiP can just rotate, they can do whatever they so please. G2 are in pretty good shape.
There, it's like you mentioned earlier, when NBK, for instance, found a frag towards the bomb side, not hunting for more, being happy with putting your team at a man advantage, and just play it from there. That's what they're doing right now. And it's unfortunate for Rez, though. Flashes were there in time. It's just not being able to find the gap in the broken wall through the smoke. Okay. Low HP, though.
He's wailing on NiP. Even though he's low HP, he's done so much work before he falls down. He's given a real chance for the rest of his team to step up to the plate, but they've stumbled on the way across. NiP not offering a helping hand, if anything pushing them further to the floor. Body and Apex. Last round, of course, they're going to have to go in for this. They don't have a kit, they only have a smoke. But they do have a kill on to get right. All on Draken, 14 health. He always missed the close shot, and that's going to be a bit of an awkward situation for him, with G2 finally breaking the curse and ending the half in winning ways.
One of the more optimistic shots I've ever seen attempted from Draken right there. It's like when you get hit with a jump scare or something, when a friend's hitting your leg, like it's that kind of a reaction to it. Nonetheless, though, D2 managed to at least close out the half on a good note, but obviously 6 rounds in a row for NiP. That's definitely not how G2 foresaw this going.
NBK is definitely the hero of that last round for me. Sure, Apex cleaned up, but NBK did so much work. Stalled them for about, what, 15, 20, 25 seconds maybe on B long.
And not just that, like we saw it earlier in as well. He's been the most impactful player on their side so far. Early rounds when they went towards that A bomb site, he was always able to find at least 1 to 2 frags with that op initially, which again, just kind of just ruins any sort of threat that NiP has to their push. Speaking of threats, off we go.
Body and Apex. Apex with the P250. Up mid, NBK had a chance to maybe silence Draken before he got involved. And is going to be called out anyway, regardless. So get right, and Draken in quite a sketchy position. And you can add to that as well that Rez still hasn't started to rotate. He's occupied on the rock, and NBK is again just stalling them. The bomb has only just been planted though, and get right and Rez are both coming in with kills. There's a few more twists and turns yet in this round, it would seem. Get right on 88 health has a chance to potentially clutch this. He's going to be coming head-to-head with Body, does a bunch of damage to him. Going to be snapping across, but Body's going to land the headshot. And NiP will not be taking this second pistol, but there's a bit of a strange one for a few moments there.
I don't know what happened in that battle between Rez and NBK. Obviously, 2 very competent aimers on a normal day, really, but they just kept going at it. And you know that you're struggling when you're starting to use the burst fire on the Glock. That's like a sign of giving up. And they're having fun with it. Rez and NBK talking to each other in the chat.
A Nova.
Big pop-up pump. That's not too uncommon to see from Get Right, who does play that drop room position. One of the players who very early on started bringing kind of funky weapons into that area, like the P90, so on. To be fair, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
And speaking of working, Draken ends the life of NBK, who's been playing so well so far this game.
The thing is with the Nova, you just get 1 kill with that. The kill reward's nuts. Like, you have paid for that gun and then some. So it is kind of a roll of the dice, but he picks it up instead of a pistol armor. Draken's going to go down alongside Rez. as will exist. And now the Nova is going to be coming round the back, and there we have it. Full of lead go Shox to the grave. Kenny S and Apex going to take a bit of damage, but Kenny S with the spray control on point will get G2 to 10 rounds.
They do handle it. Do lose 3 players, which is obviously not ideal for G2, but it's the round win that really matters at this point. It was a significant investment as well on the side of NiP, although, as you mentioned, getting that 1 frag with the Nova just kind of makes up for any sort of investment you had into it.
Just saw the graphic there. NBK is on 126 ADR. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
NiP with a pop flash into mid, trying to see if they can catch anyone from G2's side. That's not going to be the case at all, because G2 found their way over towards the B-bomb side blindly as well, which is always something that you can discuss whether or not is a safe thing to do. Or it's never a safe thing, obviously, but if it's the right thing to do, given the circumstances, running into a stack is obviously not something you want to do.
Yeah, right, making this a little bit more painful than G2 were hoping. Does land a 1D, they'll be able to reclaim that weapon too. I think it was just a Mach 10 though, so not taking a huge prize out of this round if they can keep their hands on it. But maybe a Mach 10 plus the Deagle that Get Right possesses, and the P250 for Forest could have a couple of banana peels for G2 in the next round.
A couple of frags there at the end. Body finds at least one with a Mach 10 before he goes down. Just goes on to Kenny as well right before the round resets. And 11 rounds for G2 right now. We talked about how CT side is not necessarily easy to play on Cobble. And G2 very typically as well have been a better T-side team than CT. A strong start for them right now.
So M4s and an AWP. No AWP for G2 just yet, but of course they can replenish their weaponry in the next round and pick one up for Kenny S. Draken on long. Saw NBK play here a few times. Definitely efficient. And actually running over their own Molotovs, so it's going to try and catch Draken off guard, but he's not going to fall for it. 2 kills go his way. Could be a third, so unlucky on the timing. But I'm pretty sure he heard Kenny S stomping his way up danger, which really threw him off. A couple more frags have been exchanged, and it's all down to the tag teams once again. Kenny S and NBK up against Rez and Forest, and make that just Rez, as Forest gets dispatched courtesy of Kenny S. They didn't even need an AWP through into this round. They picked one up off the corpse of Draken and used it against NiP. Feels bad for the Swedes, but G2 on the brink of taking a 12-7 lead.
Feels real bad, man. Rez, no defuse kit, no nades, and he has to cross the pond with Kenny S watching, like he's border patrol right now. Well, even this is like Sheriff of the State, NBK, is going to say no to it before special teams has to be called in.
You have to feel pretty sorry for Draken because he did so much work. He picked up 2 frags, but he's completely by himself. Here we go, here's the second of them.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gets caught in 2 minds. I think he wants to go for this kill, and then he hears Kenny S coming up danger, and it completely threw him off.
I mean, yeah, obviously you could have hoped for Exist to be able to pick up 1 frag in that kind of situation for Monster as well. Because I don't think you can expect more than those 2 kills coming out of Draken in a situation like that.
Definitely did his job.
Yeah.
Needed the rest of the team to pick up the slack. And once again, Get Right with an over. Got a kill with it last time. Let's see if history repeats itself.
Well, this time, though, a bit more of a heavy focus on B from NiP, but we see more initiation from G2 towards A here, clearing out close quarters with Molotovs. Always nice to see. Apex and NBK taking their merry time here. Actually, Apex might just continue on forward here. Shoxy finds Rez over towards the B-bomb. Nice shot from Forest to end Shoxy's life. That's going to allow them to get an AK in the hands of Exist as well. Let's see if they actually make a bit of a gamble rotation here or not.
I think a lot of this comes down to if Draken or Get Right can pick up a kill, then we may see that AK start to move across from the B site. Right, a little bit too slow on the trigger that time around. NBK will silence him.
Body in a perfect position to welcome Draken with open arms.
I mean, surely this is where you back away then. I don't know why they're still anywhere near A. They've got an AK-47.
Oh, Exist should be nowhere near this situation. Forest, yeah, you've got a Deagle and a Nova. Yeah, it's fair enough to go for. Because you don't necessarily benefit a whole lot if you're NiP in the situation to actually just take out a lot of G2 members. Of course, it's going to do economical impact, but not to the point where it actually saves you or it kind of gives you back around or sends G2 to have an eco earlier.
Just shows the confidence of Exist, I guess, that he's even still here in the first place. Oh. He's going to pick the kill on NBK and almost got baited by the fact that Exist did get tagged by Apex on the AWP. It does work out for NiP in the end, and now it's G2's turn to feel the fire as they get their 5th in a row.
ADRs you talked about. You can see NBK just kind of being lights out compared to everyone else. 126 ADR, closest on his team. Big Shoxy at 78. So definitely doing his part.
To put it in perspective, anything over 100 is considered really good. So 126 is pretty nuts. Double AWPs for NiP. It's desperation time. Nothing else has really worked for them thus far. G2 look invigorated, revitalized from the previous performances that we saw today. Draken again, similar position to what we saw when he picked up 2. This time he's more cognizant of danger. He's saying, I'm not going to let you get me that way again, but NBK just takes him off the table. Can't seem to miss right now, NBK. Nathan's playing like a god.
Yeah, normally, like we're used to seeing Apex being the kind of guy who just goes on a bit of a tear over towards that A area, but this time around, NBK just seemed to have found the key to the doors of the A bomb site for NiP, and there's not really a whole lot they can do. And outside of just like stacking up more and more players and fighting it with numbers, it seems to be a tough answer here because G2 again doing a pretty good job of setting themselves up with flashbangs, etc., moving whenever they move forward to gain map control there. So it's not necessarily positioning problem from the side of NiP, because obviously they have a very clear idea in their head of how they want to approach the defense on that A bomb site, which is playing forward in A halls. And I think that's how you have to play it, because if you play too far back on the site, you're not giving any of your guys a B any sort of chance to rotate over. And NBK definitely being a headache and a half.
It does put a lot of pressure on Draken, though, knowing that he's ultimately a lone gunman all by himself over on that side of the map. And if he dies, the A site goes with him. Rez is going to pick up one. No more. And well, Forrest does get the kill. That's going to give his position away, and no save weapons today for NiP. The plot thickens and gets a whole lot worse for the Swedes. They could rummage together a buy, but it's not going to be anything special.
No, it really isn't. And while NiP ended the half in a decent manner, being on fire even, now it's all about G2 having grabbed 6 rounds in a row.
And they do decide to get an AWP in the hands of Draken. Wow. Here's the NBK frag onto Draken, which just completely wrecked this round. And then the cleanup crew was in full effect. So they are dropping weapons now. They are deciding for a late buy. Timeout's also been called by NiP. It's going to include a FAMAS, an M4, and AWP. A couple of FAMASs actually, and Get Right's going to go with the UMP. So this is really bottom of the barrel stuff now.
Well, they're scraping up to mount their last defense here. It's pretty much all they have to offer. And they're probably talking through how they're actually going to deal with NBK right now. How they want to set up their defenses. We saw NiP when they finally cracked the code of G2 CT side. It was over towards that B bomb site where they found a lot of their success. For G2, it's been a bit of an opposite story up to this point. Again, slow default coming in from G2 this time around. Not really showing any interest towards 8.
It's been a pretty fast-paced map on both sides, so this is certainly slowing down the pace considerably from what we've seen thus far. Molly's, 2 of them, going to be landing in drop. And a flashbang, making sure the drop is as clear as possible. Hasn't really been a position that NiP have played too aggressively so far, only on eco rounds. Mollying out the alcove, that's really going to hurt Rez. He has to back away. Flashbang does keep him just about alive, but he's pulled back into the chicken coop, which is definitely on the option in terms of wall banging. Wall banging shall do. Apex with 2 1/3. Beautiful entries by a man that you haven't seen too much today. Stepping up at the right time, and G2 go from strength to strength. 8 match points.
That is just ridiculous. We talked about how Apex, no stranger to me having big cobble games. Hasn't necessarily been quiet this game, but it hasn't been the focal point of G2's offense or defense, honestly, as much as other players. But there we go. You see the talent that he possesses. 3 quick kills and effectively ends the round right then and there, and that puts G2 to match point. And not the greatest of buys to go into a situation like that for Team Sweden here.
Well, we came into this game saying that NiP need to win. Best case scenario now is a draw. No overtime, of course, in this format. So only 1 point on the table now. G2 in cruise control. And again, it is another very poor buy. A couple Mag 7s, MP9, just the 1 kit. And the molly's being tossed in to try and secure long control. Exists about to get hot as he gets forced down in position. It's going to be an even trade, but Kenny S comes back with a second. A long has been lost. It's going to force our player now from the B site, and to make matters worse, Forrest died on B long, so they're so isolated and pulls apart to get right and res now. And to make oh, it's just getting worse. Every second that passes sees G2 get further and further ahead, and it is going to be all she wrote unless this Mag 7 goes crazy. Not going to happen. G2 ease to a 16-7 lead and the win. And, well, NiP will be pretty disappointed. They didn't win a single round in that second half.
Yeah, it was